It began with a sound no one could locate. A clear, gentle bell rang in a hospital room, just before a man's heart monitor went flat. The nurse looked up, startled, certain she'd heard it too. There was no speaker, no alarm, no source. Just a single note, perfectly struck, fading almost immediately. They dismissed it as stress, coincidence, imagination. Then it rang again. A woman crossing a street paused mid-step, her face suddenly calm, almost curious. Those nearby heard the bell at the same instant, soft, unmistakable, and then the truck hit her. Later, witnesses would argue not about the accident, but about the sound. Everyone described it the same way, close, personal, final. Within a week, the pattern was undeniable. Every death was preceded by the bell, not minutes before, not hours, seconds. Just enough time to register it. Just enough time to know. Humanity had been given an announcement. Panic didn't come immediately. First came obsession. People watched the news with volume high, waiting for the chime. Social media filled with recordings that never quite captured it, microphones missing what ears caught easily. Scientists searched for frequencies, waves, shared hallucinations. None fit. The bell ignored instruments. It existed only for the living, and it was perfectly punctual. Hospitals changed overnight. Doctors stopped shouting codes when the bell rang. Families learned to recognize the sound and react without being told. Some rushed forward, desperate to fill the final seconds with words. Others froze, paralyzed by the certainty that there was nothing left to say. The bell did not discriminate. It rang for the young and the old, the loved and the forgotten, the guilty and the kind. It rang in war zones and bedrooms, prisons and nurseries. Always the same tone. Always the same calm inevitability. People began to listen for it constantly. Every unexpected sound made hearts race. A dropped glass, a distant chime from a church, anxiety spiked worldwide, a population trained to associate bells with endings. Some cities banned bell towers. Others leaned into them, believing constant noise might desensitize fate. It didn't work. The bell always cut through, unmistakable and alone. Then came the quiet revolution. People stopped running from death and started negotiating with time. Funerals changed. They became celebrations of almost, of the final moments when the bell hadn't rung yet. People told stories not about how someone died, but about what they did before the sound. Last meals became sacred. Last conversations were replayed endlessly, weighed like relics. Some people chased the bell. They lived recklessly, convinced that if they heard it, they would finally be free of uncertainty. Others did the opposite, crafting careful lives, avoiding risk, hoping to delay the chime by decades. Both groups were wrong. The bell did not respond to behavior. It responded only to the end. Children adapted faster than adults. They asked blunt questions. What does the bell sound like for you? Is it loud or soft? Parents struggled to answer, knowing the sound would one day interrupt their child's world too. Bedtime rituals changed. Parents lingered longer, afraid every good night might be the last without warning. Religion fractured and reformed. Some faiths claimed the bell was mercy, a final courtesy from the universe. Others called it cruelty, proof that hope was being weaponized. New sects formed around listening practices, training people to stay present so they wouldn't miss the sound when it mattered. The hardest truth emerged slowly. The bell did not make death worse. It made life sharper. Arguments ended faster when people realized a bell could interrupt them mid-sentence. Love was confessed sooner. Apologies came without delay. There was no advantage in saving words for later when later might not exist beyond a single note. One evening, an old man sat on a porch with his granddaughter, listening to crickets and distant traffic. He had heard the bell many times in his life, always for others. He knew he would hear it once more. When it finally rang for him, it was quieter than he expected. Just a single clear tone, like a finger on glass. He smiled, squeezed his granddaughter's hand and said, "There it is." She didn't understand yet, but she would. The sound faded. he was gone. After years passed, humanity no longer feared the bell. They respected it. It became the most honest sound anyone had ever known. A reminder that no ending arrived silently, and no life ended without being noticed by the living world around it. The bell did not warn people so they could escape death. It warned them so they could arrive fully in the moment before it.